Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. I mean, you probably already saw a video with me and Austin right here with this background of... Oh look, we have an audience. Anyways, we're back at it again. I've got Austin in town, so you bet I'm going to squeeze every little bit of content out of his juicy udders as I can. Don't think about it. Alright, so today we're talking about knives, of course, obviously. My face is like all in shadow.
Obviously, what's wrong with you?
It's me. I know you guys can't see my face because of the shadow, but trust me, it's me. Hot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you actually wanted to open the video with it. So you guys know, I open all my videos with, hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. What'd you want to open this one with?
1 hour star day, shitheads. Best way to start a video.
It's not even tar days yet. It's 10:45 in the morning.
Well, I wasn't thinking of what time of day it was. It just sounded.
Oh yeah,
cool.
it might be. They might be watching in the afternoon.
Exactly. You don't know.
Okay, yeah,
Don't just try and be like, oh yeah, it's only 10 o'clock. It could be nighttime where they are. You don't even know.
But then be noches.
True. But still, you never know. It could be midnight.
It could be. Happy midnight, people. In fact,
Happy mid-morning night.
I do upload these videos at midnight, so, like, yeah.
So half of you watch it at nighttime.
Some of them. I think.
A lot of them.
Yeah. Sometimes I have a lot of comments on videos when I wake up in the morning. I'm like, I've got comments on videos. Anyways.
In that case, good morning, shithead.
Feel free to call him whatever you want in the comments below.
It's all love.
That's nothing he hasn't been called before.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so today, since I've got Austin here, I've everybody ask him some very important questions because he is such a unique, beautiful human being who's a lefty. So, we're going to be talking. I've got like a crap load of knives here. We've got a bunch of stuff here. And some of which he's already seen because I had to run and grab some more knives and this little guy couldn't keep his grubby paws off.
What do you expect me to do? You put a bunch of knives and then you didn't say don't touch them. So
I did not, so it is on me.
it's your fault.
I left you on a tin.
That's that.
unsupervised.
You should have known better.
I should have known better. All right, so we're going to be talking about different opening mechanisms. We're going to be talking about different locking mechanisms, and really just what a lefty looks for in a knife, because the knife community is very right-hand biased. But there are some companies, some makers who do make an effort to provide opportunities to the less fortunate, like you.
Yeah, like we discussed in the last video, the concept that I have is...
Yeah, exactly. If you want to pull that out right now.
This is my lefty exclusive Warrior, and it's all lefty. I mean, the liner lock is for lefty, the clip is just for lefties, so I mean it's made for me.
It's made for lefties. And so that's always cool when the company makes a knife that is specifically left-handed, but not everyone does that.
No, not all companies.
So we're going to be going through a bunch of these knives, and you're going to be saying, yay or nay, if it's good for lefties, things like that. And the first thing I want to start out with is, how important are reversible pocket clips to you? Because I know you carry some knives with a clip reverse, some knives you don't.
I like... It depends. Sometimes it matters. Sometimes it just doesn't. I guess it just depends on the knife I'm carrying.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll like it. Like if I'm carrying multiple knives, then it makes a difference because then if I want it to deploy a different way inside.
Right.
But
so I know some lefties, if they have a knife that's right-hand carry only, they'll carry it in like their back left pocket.
Yeah, I've seen that.
You ever done that?
I've done that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But like you're saying, I'll do that if I'm carrying two knives, and then I'll have the one clip where it's for right side and the other one for left side. And then next time if I wear the same two, I'll switch them. I'll just change the clips again.
And when are we not carrying two knives? I mean, come on, folks. We all know the saying. Two knives is one and one knife is none. So,
Exactly.
Stay strapped.
Stay strapped, my friends.
All right, so I think we'll start off, like, pretty simple. Pull the knife out of my pocket. This is a liner lock. This is probably one of the most common...
Flipper liner locks.
Yeah, flipper liner lock. We've also got thumb sets here, but yeah.
I mean, obviously. And then for we're talking about how to close a knife. Usually when you do it with your right hand, you can use your pointer finger to kind of push it over. But since left-handed, I can't use my pointer finger, so I rock it back and then I'll let the gravity take its place.
Right.
So, we're talking about liner locks. They were saying they're the most common. So I've adjusted to using a liner lock. I'll just rest on my thumb and then close the knife that way. I've gotten used to it. It doesn't bother me. Would I like it to be like it is the right-handed? For sure, because it's so much easier, because then I don't have to throw the knife at my face.
Right.
So I can just use my pointer finger and then close it. But this side, if I was to do that, I'd have to and I usually will hold them at kind of like a weird angle, so it's not this way, it's not straight back. So it'll be at an angle, so when it slides, it barely moves, and then I'll straighten it out and close it the rest of the way. But I do like them. I like thumb studs. I like the flipper tabs, because who doesn't like flipper tabs or thumb studs?
Yeah.
But the closing mechanism for that would be the
right.
Yeah.
So one thing about liner locks, and this is something that even affects right-handed people, is you don't want to put your, if you have a frame lock, which we'll probably get to next, you don't want to have pressure on the lock bar. And so
that's a big issue.
And especially if you're left-handed, your thumb is right there when you're flipping it.
We have one of my knives, remember that I sat there trying to open it, and then I moved my thumb when I opened it.
Yeah. So the liner lock gets rid of that problem. Yeah. It hides the lock bar under the scale,
which makes it so much easier to deploy. Like, if the Concept had that kind and it was on the right side, or if it had the same it has but on the right side, it'd be a bit harder, because you got to move your thumb up more, and it makes it more difficult.
All right, and so since we're already talking about frame locks, let's go ahead and pull one out here. This is the Wee Minax, and the last knife was a CJRB Scoria.
I do like this knife, though. Yeah, see, I did it there. I went to open it, but my thumb was here, so it didn't want to open. But I like this knife. I've always thought this knife was cool, too. But then we go back to how to close it, and then can you spy flip this?
I can. I'm not sure if you can, because
my thumb's on it.
Yeah, your thumb's on the lock bar.
Yeah, see, I got to choke up to spidey flick, so I'm pressing on the lock bar, so it's not going to spidey flick for me. But then I have to move my thumb all the way up. I don't know if you guys can see it, but instead of down here, I have to move my thumb a lot higher up just to open it. And then closing it, I'll have to, do the whole rocking thing before. But like I said, with the normal liner locks, I've grown to just move my thumb.
Right.
But when you're first getting, the first time I tried to open it, I couldn't because my thumb was on it. So I got to remember the different knives.
Yeah.
At times.
So we've been talking about flippers a lot. I think flippers are good for lefties because it's on the back of the knife. You can get it.
Yeah, it's ambidextrous. It's for both hands. You can do it with either hand. Same with thumb studs. They're usually on both sides.
Right, and we'll get to some stuff like that. But spidey flick with a frame lock for a lefty, not always great.
Because a lot of knives, they'll have a deeper groove on one side than they will the other side of the knife.
That's something I was going to ask too. Yeah.
Because then see, I can spidey flick it with my my right hand just fine. Well, not that time. But see, I can't do that with the left side because of the lock bar. But then certain knives will have a deeper finger groove on one side, so you can get to it, but the left side doesn't have one.
Right.
So then I can't deploy it the right way.
Good point. Okay, so we're going to stay on the kind of frame lock thing, and this is similar, and this is actually similar to what you have in your pocket right now, but it's a frame lock, except it's a bolster lock. So the lock bar is actually hidden under most of the scale.
Yeah.
So, improvement over open frame lock?
Yeah, so it also goes with the thickness of the knife. So, if you have a thin knife and it's got, the frame lock, it's going to make it harder because it's less for you to hold on to when you open it. But if I have enough room to put my whole thumb on it, then I don't have an issue.
Right.
But, and see, here we go with talking about, how you have this whole finger groove, be able to push that over. But with the left side, you don't have that.
Right.
So you got to, reach all the way over.
So it's a little bit harder for you to get your thumb over it than it is to push over. You got
yeah, I got to, roll and then try and pull it over. But the bolster locks, they're a little bit easier. This knife is a bit thinner knife, but I don't have the same, I can spidey flick and my finger is out of the way. But this is a lefty, obviously, but they leave me enough space to usually get it. And then it comes to the same the more you use a knife that has that lock, you get used to it, and it just becomes it's like a nature after a while.
Right.
But still, really nice knife as well.
Awesome. So that one's another flipper only. Let's go ahead. You know what? We're going to pull out this knife. So this is an older type of lock. We're all familiar with this type of lock, but this is my Hogue Deca. Oh, that was the Best Tech buoy tie. This is my Hogue Deca that I've had for ages. Not one of the new Magna Cut ones. But this is the Able lock, Axis lock, crossbar lock. They're all the same thing. This is kind of built for lefties. What do you think of them?
I like them. I mean, I have a few, and they make good fidget knives.
That is true. That is true.
I mean, I carried my the Firebird that I have that you gave me a while back with the carbon fiber, and it has the same Axis lock on it. They're good. I mean, they're the same left or right. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So I mean, they work perfectly.
And that one's actually probably easier right-handed because the clip's on the right-hand side, so you can like grab onto it with your fingers.
Yeah, see, and that also makes a difference, like depending on where your clip is.
Yeah.
But like, I can just put enough pressure to where that it doesn't, like, because I have enough pressure that I can still get it. But some knives that are like the slick carbon fiber or any knife that has a slick scale, I will slide on it when I try to do any kind of opening or closing maneuver.
Yeah.
It just depends. But like this one, it does help because on the other side, it does have, it's not just, because this is my card, isn't it?
It's G-Mascus. It's like G10 layers.
But it has texture. Like it actually has grooves in it, so I'm able to grip onto it even though I don't have a clip there.
Right.
Which makes a big difference.
Okay, so you mentioned slick knives, and you have one of these, and yours is a lot better than mine.
Yeah.
But the CGRB Crag has a recoil lock. Mine does have the slick carbon fiber, which I do kind of hate.
Yes.
And I have cut the crap out of my finger with this knife because it's slipping around, but yeah, knock yourself out.
Yeah. So I like this lock because, I mean, and see, like, I'll slide.
And you don't have the clip to grab onto with your left hand.
Yeah, I don't have anything, like, if I have the clip, then I can, you know, easily.
Yeah.
But since this one, like mine, it doesn't have the carbon fiber, it has, isn't it just normal G10 that mine has too?
Yeah. Yeah.
So mine has more texture in the material itself anyways. But this one, since I don't have nothing to grab onto, when I go to push on this, my whole hand wants to just slide off the knife.
Yeah. So
then it's a lot harder, but once you get used to it, then it works just fine.
Yeah. I like the recoil lock.
I have to squeeze the knife a lot harder to operate it the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Instead of just comfortably holding it and just flipping it and closing it, like most people would with when they're holding onto a clip or, you know, stuff like that. So,
I wish CGRB would do more with the recoil lock.
Yeah, it's a really cool lock because that's one of the first ones you actually got me, and it's.
Yeah, that was like
I got used to it, and I would just play with it and play with it.
Yeah.
And I got good at it, so.
Okay, now let's take a look at a lock that is becoming incredibly popular nowadays. You guys already know what it is. It's a lock that I don't necessarily love, except on this knife. I love this knife, but button locks. This is the CGRB Pyrite.
Yeah, button locks are... I mean, they're not bad because I can use my pointer finger. So they're actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
Because, like, I can literally... All I got to do is move my finger up slightly. I can actually have my finger right there and then just go up and then literally slide it a little bit and close it. But, I mean, your thumb is not a whole lot different because you just...
Yeah.
But I actually like it better for a lefty.
I think, like, even with... I'm not a left-hand person, but I think button locks work better in my left hand.
Well, you don't have to move your hand.
No.
Because all you got to do is you flick it and you got to move your finger up. So you don't have to move. Just move up.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it with your right hand, you have to move your whole hand to get your thumb up there to the button and bring it down.
Yeah.
This is a smooth-ass knife, though.
Yeah, isn't it? The CGRB Pyrites are awesome. They're fantastic.
But yeah, I like button locks when they're that smooth and stuff for lefty especially. Because, I mean, it's just simple movement to get up there and push the button.
I was going to bring a flipper button lock, but it looks like I forgot. But I prefer thumb studs with button locks, just personally. I
I agree. especially when it's as smooth as this one is.
Yeah.
I could play with this knife all day.
So let's talk about thumb studs real quick. And especially if they're dual like this, great for lefties, right?
Yeah, they're really good, but it depends on because you know how some knives will make one side a bigger thumb stud.
Yeah.
If one thumb stud is just too small, it's hard to flip with it. But usually thumb studs are good. Either way, they are good for lefty and righty. They're really good. They're good either way.
I was going to bring a knife that had just a single-sided thumb stud, but I don't have it.
Yeah, and those, like, before Gideon taught me how to do the Spidey flick, when it came to those, I'd have to use, like a slow motion to open my knife because I couldn't just flick it open. Because then you can't use your thumb, you have to use one of your other fingers because it's on the other side of the knife.
Yeah. And you've seen the my Artisan Sirius. It's the front flipper that has a thumb stud just on one side.
Yeah.
So for me, it's thumb stud only, and if you were to carry it, it'd be reverse flick only.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because I wouldn't be able to use my thumb unless I flipped it around, and then you wouldn't be able to open the knife anyways. Yeah. So.
Okay, next up, let's go with an American invented lock, Spyderco's compression lock. And yes, I know everyone's gonna say in the comments, "Oh, Spyderco makes lefty compression locks." I know, I don't have any. We've got a righty one.
So I was playing with this earlier, and it's a bit iffy because I gotta pick my thumb up and then try and hold my knife while I'm closing it. And this is all just doing it with one hand. Like,
yeah,
if I was doing it with two hands,
that's true.
Big difference, because then I could just, I could hold it with one hand and then just close it with the other hand and then be fine. But if we're just trying to be professionals with one hand, I tried using my pointer finger to try and push it over, and you put too much, it just doesn't work quite as well. So you're trying to use your thumb, get your hands out of the way of the knife, which can be difficult because it's right there. Like, if the clip was on that side, it'd be easier because then it has something to grip onto. But, like, just so much easier if you were to use the right side to do it.
And me, personally, I don't even like the compression lock that much.
It's not my favorite lock.
Yeah.
Is it unique and interesting?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Super
definitely.
strong. It's very strong.
But is it
intuitive?
Yeah. Is it like not everyone can use it? Like it's harder for me because also my finger will be in the way more of the blade, even when it comes back around.
Yeah.
Because then there's times when I've hit my thumb with the.
And that is a problem with a lot of Spydercos, is sometimes the edge comes back into that area.
Yeah, and you see, like, I can move my finger out, because my pointer finger is obviously smaller than my thumb, so it's out of the way more, but my thumb is more in the way, and it goes down more into the knife where it could get diced a little bit more.
And something you're talking about, too, is, like, when you move your hand up here, like, that's a great way to drop your knife. You know, you don't have a great grip
I have
on that.
no grip on it. I'm trying to use what little surface tension I can to keep it in my hand so that I don't drop it. Like, if that was carbon fiber...
Oh, yeah.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to open it left-handed.
The thing I don't like about compression locks, too, is, like, working around the ranch. If I'm wearing gloves, I can't get my finger in there.
Yeah, because like, it doesn't have a whole lot of room.
Yeah, I have to
like... Put your finger in there.
So if I'm, like, doing something, and I've got my hand on one thing, and I'm making a cut, I can't put the knife away with one hand. I have to let go of that and, like, really carefully do that. So
yeah, you have to focus too much on that lock is an issue. But, I mean, it's cool. It's unique. It's something different that you don't see in many knives at all in the first place.
Only Spydercos, because otherwise you get sued.
Because that is trademarked.
All right. What do we want to talk about next? You know what? Let's go with the classic backlocks on the Cold Steel 8015.
I mean, so I was playing with this one earlier. It's a typical knife. You just don't want to cut your fingers off. But I mean,
yeah, that's always the problem with Cold Steels. They come down. They
do come down, but I mean, it's a typical knife that has the backlock on it, so you can do the same. You can drop it with one hand. I just don't want to cut my fingers off. But you can keep your thumb out of the way. But I mean, it's the same either way because it's right in the middle of the knife. So
and Cold Steels, they come with reversible clips.
Yep, you can put it on either side, and
yeah.
So the backlock, it was made for everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, just like the Axis lock is made for pretty much everybody can use one of those.
And this is the triad lock. You had a knife that you brought out in the other video we did that has like a more old school classic back.
Yeah, it's like all the way
with
back
the tail
here.
lock. Yeah. And so for me, I love backlocks. I use my Cold Steels a lot.
My
and so
my Recon 1.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that knife too, so.
I mean, if you want a knife that's dependable, hard use,
going to be strong because it has all that backbone to it. Perfect lock for a strong knife.
I think backlocks are absolutely fantastic.
And they're good all around. It doesn't matter if you're new to the knife world or it's simple because you look at it and you're like, oh, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. You know how, even if you've never even seen a knife before, you can figure it out.
I've had people that'll come up to me and like we'll do. Do you have a liner lock one that's sitting out here? And you have a liner lock. People will sit there and they'll look at the knife like this because they don't know how to close it. And you're like, oh yeah, you got to get inside, and then they're like, oh okay. But how many times have you given a knife to somebody, and then they'll look at the knife because they don't know how to close it right away?
So many times. I'll tell you one of the worst culprits of this. My grandpa.
Yep, it's the older generation that are used to having the triad lock or the tail lock, because they're used to two hands closing the knife.
Yeah.
And most times they don't even have clips on their knives.
No,
they just slide in the pocket and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, granted, some of the old like trappers and they had a liner lock, but they had a giant tab that you could see when the knife was closed.
Yeah, like the case rust lock is a great example of that. In fact, I've got one in the house, but I'm not going to go grab it. But, yeah.
Like, it was clear that it was a liner lock, and you could see that, and you're like, oh, automatically move that to the side, close the knife. But like the one we just showed,
yeah,
if you were to look at it, you were new to the knife world, would you know how to close that knife the right way?
No.
If you were brand new and didn't handle a knife before.
And that's why I'm a big advocate of, like, if I always carry two knives, and so usually I carry my knife, and then I like to carry a knife where if anyone asks me for a knife,
yeah, one that's easy for somebody else to use,
either like a simple backlock or maybe even a slip joint.
Yeah, because they're simple. You don't have to worry about some kind of mechanism to close your knife.
Yeah. And the other thing too is, I mean, you know the old cowboy superstition of, you know, never hand someone a knife in certain ways. I think it's
and then they're always like, you have to be where you took someone's knife. They have to be like, you got it, and then you have to say you got it before you took the knife. And my grandpa, my mom's dad, was super strict about that. Like, if you handed him a knife and you didn't say you got it, he would not let go of that knife until you said you had the knife. Which is
a good rule of thumb, especially with newbies. I know, like, right now we've been just passing knives back and forth, but
like,
we're professionals.
Yeah, we've done this for years. We've handled knives. We've cut ourselves plenty of times. Bad cuts.
Oh yeah.
Me and you both.
Oh yeah.
So
got one that's still healing right now.
Yeah, he's tried to cut off his fingers. I've tried to cut off my leg, but that was not a.
Yeah, that was a chainsaw.
That was different. But I have done deep cuts with knives as well. So we've had our accidents and we're kind of like, you know.
But going back to like the cowboy superstitions, you know, hand someone a closed knife.
Yeah, you never hand it to them open.
Yeah, and have someone needs to hand you the knife in the way you gave it to them.
Exactly.
So I think, like, if you want to be safe with someone, like what I usually do if I'm going to loan a knife to someone, I open it two-handed, I hand them to them like this, you got it, and then I tell them, instead of them trying to close it, give it back to me that same way, I'll take it back, and then I'll show them how to close it.
Exactly.
Because the last thing
that way you get rid of all that possibility for somebody having an accident with your knife, and then you get in trouble because it was yours in the first place.
Yeah, and that's a nightmare. You don't want someone to injure themselves with your property.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to stick with the Cold Steel theme. I know you have one of these. This is my favorite knife ever.
I love those knives.
The Cold Steel 8015 with the Demco designed Scorpion lock.
I love the lock as well. Yeah, this one, it's always a butt monkey for me to try and spike flick, but I do love it. I mean, it's perfect for left and right as well because you can just pick it up and then drop it. So, I mean, not a hard lock. It's just like, because you can do it from either side. So it's a good knife for everybody, but I wouldn't guarantee somebody would know how to close it if they looked at it.
So I know Lefty EDC, if you're watching this, Kevin, hi. He hates this knife. He hates this knife.
Hater.
And I do know some people who do not like the Scorpion lock, but I've been carrying one for like 3 years at this point. I've gone to where I can manipulate these things like a fine-tuned piano. I mean, these things are like second nature to me. And if you really practice with them, I mean, you can really get good. So, I mean, I think that's kind of thing with everything is
the more you practice, the better you become. And that's, like you said, it goes with anything. Like You're playing an instrument, you're flipping knives, you're
We were talking earlier
building
bows.
a house. Yeah, bows.
You were always a better archer than me just because you spent more time with bows.
Because I used to stand outside and just shoot bows.
Yeah.
Was I accurate all the time? No, but that's how you learn.
Exactly.
But yeah, I like the scorpion lock. For one, it's so unique because you really don't see that.
No,
Like, this is the only knife that I think I've seen with a scorpion lock.
Oh yeah, besides his custom
Yeah.
version, yeah, that's the only knife.
I mean, it's smooth, one-handed. I mean, you get good at it. Like Gideon here, and you can just
I love that knife.
pick it all the time.
It's also super strong because
Oh,
not
yeah.
only, I mean, listen to this.
But it has that.
But then
big
when you're
groove,
gripping
just-
it, as long as you're gripping this knife, it can't close.
No.
It can't close. So
I mean, even if you were to smack this on something, I'm not going to smack it.
I've got a board there if you want to.
But no, I'm not gonna hurt your knife. But like, it has that big notch in it. So even if you didn't have a monstrous grip on it, it's not just gonna flop out of there.
No.
Because of that deep groove, and it has that big pin that just sits in there. It holds it in place. So I mean, this is it's one heck of a heavy duty knife, and I have loved my knife just like this.
Okay, so going on to another Dimco designed lock,
I always thought this one was a bit
the
interesting.
Shark Lock. What do I think of that?
I always thought this one was a bit interesting. I mean, it's like it's on the top, so you can use it with both hands. It's just it gets used to because I'm not used to having a spider or a shark lock at all. But you can use it with both hands. A lot of it, I mean,
No, it's a little
snowbird. Throw something at it, but it also, a lot of what makes a knife easy to flip or close is the scales. If you have slippery scales that have no traction, even the simplest action of closing, like even this, if this was a little bit harder and these were slick, it would be a lot harder to close it. But since this has grip, it's so much easier to actually get a hold of it to close it. But
Cloud, you need to move. We're trying to film a video.
what's wrong with you, jerk? But I think the Shark Lock it's pretty nifty, and it's for both left and right-handed people, so it works both ways.
All right, I think this is the last lock we're going to talk about, but this is kind of a variation on the Shark Lock. This is Cold Steel's Atlas Lock.
Okay. That's a cool knife though. And then you go back with this one, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's not bad. I mean, the knife is big enough to where I can get far enough away from the blade to close it. So it's actually not bad. But how do you close it with right-handed?
Same way. I flick it open and just go like that. And again, this is a knife that last year out in the woods, I carried this all the time, and I got pretty good with it.
I like this knife. It's a cool knife.
Oh yeah. They're actually coming out with
A bit aggressive, but
a bunch of versions of that knife, including some Tontos.
ooh.
Yeah, I think smaller versions like that. Pretty cool.
But yeah, I mean, it comes back to we have the normal triad lock, tail lock, this lock, the ones that are on both sides, or you can get on the back. They're a perfect knife because you can open it with like easy thumb studs, and then you can just use the universal lock and then just close it down. Big word. But I mean, and then you're gonna pay a little extra depending on the lock. I mean, it depends on the knife itself.
Yeah.
But the ones that have the lock on the spine, they're good for left-handed and right-handed. But we haven't done those ones.
Okay, so now we're done with locks, but we're going to start talking about opening mechanisms. So we've already talked about flippers.
Yep.
Good.
Thumb
We
studs,
talked about thumb studs.
good.
We've been doing
If
a
they're
lot of
on
thumb
both
studs.
sides.
If they're on both sides. The first thing I want to talk about right now, actually, is blade holes. We talked about that with a little bit with the
Yep.
Spyderco, but what do you think about blade holes?
So that's like what we were talking earlier. It goes along with here's a good example. So look on this side. You see how it's like you can barely get into that hole from this side. Over here, you have a much bigger gap. Like, much bigger,
Yeah.
littler. And so, for me, I can Spidey flick it, fine. But if I was to use my thumb, it'd be a lot harder because I have this extra material in the way. While over here, I can get my smaller
And the
finger in
detail on
there.
that thing sucks, by the way.
And then, I can tell. And then, just fine.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to get my fat finger in a skinny hole, and then my skinny finger just has all that extra room to get in there. So,
I'm not gonna say it. Not gonna say it.
but you get what I'm talking about. Like, you're using your smaller fingers for the smaller section, and then your bigger fingers for the bigger section.
Oh, look what I found. A knife that has a single position thumb stud.
Yeah, and see, here's a good example. Like, this knife is so small, anyways, that it's hard for me to grip it while I'm trying to spidey flick it. So I would have to use. I could get it. It would just take me a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, if I wanted to, see, and it's like, it just doesn't want to come out. But like, I was to thumb flick it. It's fine. But if I was trying to do the reverse flick, it's a lot harder to get out to deploy it the right way.
For sure. Okay, so now let's talk about front flippers. And this is also a fuller deployment.
So I like front flippers because they're super easy for left and right-handed people. I mean, all you gotta do is push up on the top, and then the whole thing just slides out.
Yeah.
Easy opening mechanism. But the fullers, I've always struggled with fullers anyways, but, I mean.
Hey, you got it.
Yeah. But, like, you can also spidey flip them, can you?
Yeah, I can spidey flick that one.
Let me see. There it is. But, I mean, I can get the fullers. They're fine. If they're deep enough and big enough, I mean, that's just typical anyways.
Right, you always want to go big and deep. That's what makes everyone happy.
Yeah, exactly. But the front flippers I like because they just look cool when you flip them like that. Just, walk up to somebody and be like, yeah, one knife, and then, I don't know.
All right, we're going to finish this up because he's got to get somewhere. We were just distracted. My grandpa came to talk to us.
Yeah.
So I think we basically talked about pretty much everything.
Pretty much.
I did want to show you this knife, though. This has been loaned in by a viewer.
Ooh.
This is just a gorgeous knife. I know you all already played with it while I was gone.
I did. I could not resist. I seen it, and then I seen it in person, and I fell in love with it as soon as I picked it up. Gorgeous knife.
The very first time
smooth and
I ever
so
handed you a
snappy.
front flipper, you got it. And it took me a little bit to learn front flippers, but you love front flippers.
I love front flippers. I have maybe one or two in my collection, but I love front flippers. I don't know why, but they are just so smooth and snappy, and this one is probably my favorite.
It's
so far.
It's my favorite front flipper I've ever handled.
Like, this thing is just so nice.
And it works good for a lefty, it looks like.
Oh yeah, perfect for a lefty. And it's like, it's so smooth.
Gotta show off that carbon fiber.
I love that knife. That knife is so nice.
All right, so we're gonna call it quits there. If you've made it this far in the video, obviously you like this channel. I have one last question for you.
Right, I'm ready.
What is one of your favorites or craziest memories of when we were kids?
Oh my. Oh.
I knew it was gonna be a hard one.
One of my favorite memories. That rock ledge. When you fell off of that rock ledge.
Oh gosh.
And we were going to go to a church dance. First dance. We were what? 14, 15?
Yeah, something like that.
13, 14?
13, 14, something like that.
And we didn't want to go. We were postponing as long as we could.
We want to go hunting.
Yeah, because his dad was like, all right, we're going to go to this dance. You're going to go with us. And we're like, no. So we tried to run away. So we went to the mountains. And we're walking around up there. Me and Gideon get separated. So I come back down with his siblings. And all I hear is, ha! And I'm like, what was that? So I walk all the way back around, and I see Gideon, and he's walking up like this. And I'm like, what happened to you? He's like, man, I fell like 8 feet from a rock ledge and smacked my face on a rock. And I was like, no, you didn't. So we walk over there, and there's a drool mark where he had smacked his head and just laid there. So I was like, oh, no, you okay? He's like, I'm fine. So he got up.
Had a little goose egg.
Yeah, he had a little bump. He got up, and we were walking up towards the old mine that's over there. And we're talking about, like...
Share
and passed
that
out.
part.
Because it's hilarious, because right after that, you walked right into a bush and fell into the bush. He walks over, and then just like... just crumples like a beer can into it. It was the funniest thing. It was one of the best and the funniest memories. We ended up going to that dance, and we had a hell of a time. Gosh. That was the beginning of a pretty...
We were dumb kids.
We were dumb, but we had some fun. That was hilarious. I remember you. Oh. I bet you're...
I hate that story.
I bet you regret asking me that question now, don't you?
I hate that story.
That was one of my favorite memories. It's one that it sticks out so well. Now, what's one of your favorite memories you've had?
I think when we were doing the live stream, we told the story about my hunting trip that I tried to leave you out of.
Oh yeah, that's another one of my favorites.
One of my favorites though has got to be when we broke into that old mining facility, and we were 15, 16, and we were over there hunting rabbits. What we were doing that day, we were hunting rabbits, but we decided
it started out as a hunting trip.
Yeah, but we decided we were just
like all of our trips did.
Yeah, we're just going to take off and go look at this mining facility. So we get up there and we're looking around, and it's abandoned. There's all this machinery around and stuff, and we're having fun. And we shot a couple of rabbits, but
we shot that one.
Yeah, that's right. That crazy one.
The one that. So, sorry to interrupt.
No,
you,
go ahead.
But so we got into this one building, and there's this rabbit just sitting in the corner. We walked up to like this close. Gideon smacks it with a stick. It gets up and it takes off. Stops a little bit further out, and Gideon looks up and he's poking it with his stick. And I have my BB gun, and I'm walking. And
no, we had our 22s.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a 22. And this rabbit takes off and it swings around. It's like from here to there, the little doodle bug over there. It's hauling butt, and I pick up my gun and I shoot it through the eyes, and this thing just flips. So we're like, okay, it's dead. He goes and walks up to it. It springs up the same height as him right now.
I was bending down.
It literally just goes boonk and shoots up. Scared the crap out of him. I was back there dying, trying to hold it together. And then that all happens. Pick up this rabbit. He has his gun. I have my gun. We walk around these buildings, and there's a car parked on the outside, right on the road, where there's a gate. There's a young couple, probably a little older than us. Yeah. There's a guy and a girl, and they're walking towards us, and they just dead stopped. And we're just staring at them, both with guns, and I have a dead rabbit. And then they just turned around and walked back.
She turned around and walked.
He
jumped in the air.
He jumped and tried to pick up his pants because they were falling down. And I told him afterwards, I was like, man, we should have ran after them. That would have been the funniest thing in the world.
And then we went to one of the little buildings, and we found that they'd probably been there before. Mm-hmm. There were used condoms everywhere.
Yep.
Oh,
we've had some adventures for sure.
Gosh. And then I remember that time we were in the actual pit mine, and we're climbing up the side, and we're like rolling rocks down, for whatever reason. And I'm like got this rock, and I'm like trying to throw it over, and again it's like a slope like this, and I lose my balance, and I'm falling. He grabs my backpack.
Yeah, I almost snatched him back. I was like, "You ain't flying off." And there's a spot up here where it's like you remember it's this wide and it's a drop off.
Oh yeah.
And it was me and you, and we're just walking with our guns trying to get across it.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, probably 200 feet in the air.
Yeah, it's up there, and it's a straight drop if you were to fall. And then one time we were climbing up, and we got right underneath the ridge, and we could sit there, and we're hearing these miners yell at each other. And we're just sitting there, and we're watching them. And after they left, we went and looked at their little bulldozer. Remember?
I remember that.
It was a big dozer, actually. But we had some good times.
We were dumb kids.
Oh, yeah,
we should have died many times.
Oh, so many times. I don't know how we're not dead, but we've had adventures.
Gosh, we drove our moms crazy.
Oh yeah, like I want to go hang out with Gideon or with Austin, and they're like, oh no.
That's one story. We wanted to hang out, and my mom was like, you guys been getting into a lot of trouble? No. So I got my ass up, and I walked.
He literally walked all the way. I met him
8 miles,
and I was like, because he's like, I'm coming to you, and I was like, all right. He walked all the way to my house. It's a ways away.
It's 8 miles.
And he just called me, told me he's coming, and I was like, I'll be here, man. What do you want to do when you get here? We got there, because that's when we used to make skits.
Yep.
Before he did his YouTube like this, we had our other channel, and we used to make skits. And you came up, and I had a bunch of stuff, and we went and we did go make a video that day, didn't we?
We did.
Yep. Because we weren't planning it, but when you showed up, we're like, oh, I got all this. That's when we did the short jacketed mask one.
That's right. That's
Austin's
right.
Adventures or whatever it was. Yep. That's when we did that one.
Oh, we could stay here and talk forever, but we got places to be.
We got
So
stuff to do.
hopefully, I know some of you probably enjoyed some of that, and now
Hope so. Anyways,
very embarrassed.
good. Did you give for asking me a question?
Yeah, that's what I get.
You knew that story was gonna come out.
No, I did not. I actually did not expect you. Okay, anyways. Alrighty, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you know what? Honestly, guys, we need to get him to start a channel. I mean, start a channel. Come on.
I'm gonna try.
All right. Anyways, have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one.
It was good seeing you guys.
Adios.
Later.